This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Introduction. Every person has flaws and weaknesses. Usually, people try to hide these flaws from others. But sometimes the flaw is evident and hard to hide or avoid. Sometimes the flaw puts pressure on the person's mind and even becomes a disease. These kinds of flaws are torturous. They interfere with life and performance. Most people can't even imagine that a weakness once can become a strength, which contributes to individuality and personal style. The King's Speech movie is exactly about this kind of transformation, about surmounting difficulties and becoming oneself. This movie tells us about pain, diffidence, feelings retention which causes the overall tenseness, and finally, about relief from these all. Main body. The movie tells a story of a king who was afraid of being a king most of everything else in his life. This is the story of George VI, who was one of the most significant great British monarchs of the 20th century. Bertie, whose character in the movie is performed by Colin Firth, was an unlucky person, because he was born a prince, and because he lived in times of radio and newsreel. He stuttered since childhood, he couldn't even speak in front of other people, his throat cramped, the anxiety rose up and usually turned into a panic attack. Bertie couldn't cope with it, he hated the whole world and himself. As a member of the royal family, George VI was to speak to people and make speeches. When the king spoke, all the country was still and quiet, listening to the radio and waiting for the words to reveal themselves from the unbearable throat seizures. The movie is about the attempt to overcome the disease and the healing. It starts when the prince's wife finds for him a speech therapist. After some arrangements, they begin the work. In the first place, the therapist, Lionel Logue, asks the prince to read a passage from Shakespeare's Hamlet. He puts the headphones on Albert's ears, in which Bach's music plays loudly. Bertie reads the passage easily without hearing himself. Bach's music howls down the condemning inner voice that usually interfered with the speech process, and the prince starts to read without stammering. The therapy includes various methods assisting in the healing progress. For instance, Albert yells out swear words and speaks with a mouth full of small stones. Logue asks him to quit smoking. He also teaches the king to pronounce words by dividing them into groups. He helps him to get rid of the fear of public performances. Over time, the therapist helps Albert to obtain confidence, and it becomes the beginning of a great friendship. Conclusion. The King's Speech represents successfully that stuttering can become a serious problem, especially for such a significant person as the King of Great Britain. George VI suffered from great humiliation while delivering a speech in front of thousands of British people. The shame made him stressed and provoked negative thoughts. The movie depicts the victory of the human spirit over the disease, and it makes clear that even in adulthood stuttering is treatable. During this time, it can be healed by special therapy and hard work. Did you like this The King's Speech, Prevailing Through Weakness sample? To get more works like this one, make sure to check out the free database of academic paper examples at ivypanda.com. You will find thousands of samples for all your study needs, without even having to register.